Hey guys, it is 11:01, so I'm going to go ahead and give people a couple more minutes to join. But so far, welcome. This is the Backwards Planning webinar, and we're here to talk all things planning and do it in a way that's super easy, really easy to execute, but creates these wins that allows you to just move forward and hit your ultimate achievement, your most important one. So let's give people a couple more minutes. I'll do another intro and we'll go from there. You guys are muted by way of me, the presenter, so when it is time for Q&A, I will open it up. As of now, though, I have muted everyone just so everyone can come into the webinar with at exactly the point that we're teaching, as opposed to being distracted or anything else. So we just want to give everybody that same experience to be very focused, very here, very present. So we got one more minute and we are getting started. So let's also be sure to share, guys. Make sure that you are letting people know where you are this morning and what you are working on. And yeah, don't not tell people where you are. It's just not cool. Like, you definitely want people to be able to enjoy all the goodness that you're enjoying. So we're going to go ahead and actually share this really quick, and then we will be back. Let's give them a few more seconds and then we'll get started. And if you haven't already joined the Impactful Resumes Facebook page or the Ms. Palmer Facebook page, you definitely should do that, because that's where we post a lot of what's going on around these parts. So you definitely want to join us whenever you can. Okay, and we're almost ready to start. We're just giving people a little chance to join in. So thank you so much for everyone who already was here on time. We so appreciate you showing up. We appreciate you sharing your morning with us. And we are so excited for you to join us this morning. So thank you and welcome. Alrighty, guys. Looks like we are ready and set to get started. So as I mentioned, it's Impactful Resumes. All you have to do is go to facebook.com and search Impactful Resumes, or go to my page, and you'll be able to find it directly from there, which is, if you're my friend on Facebook, at Ms. Palmer, and if you are just following one of my pages, you'll be able to see it all there too. So we're very excited to get started. This is going to be such a juicy session. So I am amped and ready to go. And as soon as I finish sharing this, we will start. Okay, awesome sauce. So let's go ahead and get it started. All right, guys, so I am Ms. Palmer. Thank you so much for attending the Backwards Planning webinar. We are here to discuss how to create some limitless achievement with a proven system that removes all the info overload, that removes all the barriers to what it takes to really achieve in today's time with everything we have going on in our lives. And it's such a hot topic. So if you're a business owner, if you are looking to ramp up your career, if you're a mom, if you are just someone who is ambitious and doesn't have any interest in not achieving, who has no interest in living a life other than the one you truly desire, then you are in the right place, and we are getting started. So thank you everyone who showed up. Now, I do have the attendees list open, so if you can go ahead and chat and let me know where you're from, that would be awesome. So let's take a look. Oh, hey, Jen. It's so nice to have you. Denise, thank you for coming. Denise is in New Jersey, so we have Jersey in house, and I'm a New Yorker, so welcome. I feel a little nostalgic because you are near home. So welcome, welcome, welcome. James, thank you for coming. We are so excited to have you all. So I won't go through everyone who's chatting. I just wanted to say a quick thank you. Thank you for showing. This is going to be an energetic, unboring, very, very, very content-rich webinar. So if you don't know me and you were invited by one of my fantastic colleagues or someone on my list who shared this with you, I'll just introduce myself briefly. I'm Miss Palmer, and I'm not being formal by saying Miss Palmer. My name is Miss MYS, and you are joining me in Atlanta, Georgia. I'm in Atlanta anyway, and you are joining me because I am what's known as the unboring brand voice expert. And what that means for you is that when you are trying to get to the core of why you're creating what you're creating, you need a voice, and you need one that's authentic, one that's uniquely tailored to you, that comes directly from you, and one that's uniquely tailored to who you're trying to talk to. And that is what I help you do. In a nutshell, there are so many other components to it, but that is what I love to do, and that's where I get my joy. And I help people like you achieve. When I was creating my new business, Impactful Resumes, that I launched last year, woo woo, when I launched it last year, I was dealing with my clients, and in doing so, we had this conversation about, well, how exactly am I supposed to create this journey for my career? What does that look like? And I'm not really sure where to start. And all these conversations came up. Not that they didn't come up when I do my work with entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs tend to have already set out that they're going to run a business. So in their minds, that's their most important outcome. So everything they're doing is geared towards that. When you're in a career, however, no one really teaches you how to manage it, how to plan it, and how to execute. So instead of doing SMART goals and things like that, I taught them how to start from their ultimate goal. And why that worked is because they already had their voice. We had already developed those inner juicy details of why they were doing what they were doing, and furthermore, how they wanted to be seen, how they wanted to be received, and the value that they wanted to give to the world. So that's really what this session will be about, those two aspects. We're going to teach you how to uncover your most important outcome, and then we're going to talk about how to actually take that most important outcome and backwards plan your way to what you do tomorrow. Yeah, so that's pretty much what I'm teaching you, who I am, what I'm about, and why I'm so excited to have you here, because 2017 is around the corner. We are, 2 weeks away? It's insane how fast this month has gone, how fast this year has gone. So 2017, every time that there's a new year, it doesn't matter what year it is, but every time you make it to a new year, you hear resolutions, and you hear all about what everyone wants to get to, what everyone wants to do and accomplish, right? And oftentimes we're really cynical about those because we feel like come March, you're not going to be hitting the gym anymore if you want to lose weight. A lot of those goals really aren't going to be hit, and that is the problem. The problem should never, we should never feel that cynical about plans that we and the people around us have set to execute, but we do because we know 8 times out of 10 it's not going to get done. And that's not because these people aren't ambitious. It's not because they don't really want it. It's because they don't have a system for doing it. They're used to their mama's style of goal planning, the SMART goal planning. They're used to a framework of execution that relies on someone else calling the shots in some form. And when it's all on your shoulders to do, that's scary as hell. And there's so many different things that come up and so many routes you could take. It becomes less about the actual outcome. It becomes less about the wins and more about to-do lists and prioritization and all this other stuff. So this system eliminates that for you and gets you right to the core and down and dirty into what you do next. But this is a sneak peek at the backwards planning workbook that all attendees will receive. And yeah, this is pretty much what it looks like when you open it up in excuse me, I'm going to say Photoshop, hello, in Adobe Reader. I have Adobe Acrobat X, so this doesn't allow you to make changes to it except adding your text. So it is locked and secured, but you will be able to add and remove. So for instance, setting your top goal, and then you can clear the form out if you so choose. So there's definitely a lot that you can do. It's just we're going to work through how to actually do all of this first, and then we'll go in and we will backwards plan someone's most important outcome live so you can see how it's done. So I'll go ahead and get started with the initial discussion. So the first question I have for you guys that I really, really need answered is, why do you hate planning? Do you hate planning? And if you do hate planning, why? What about it makes you cringe? Go ahead and tell me in the chat box. And let's see what I have going on here. Okay. Planning doesn't necessarily suck out loud. It sucks always. And because I am a spontaneous person, it makes it really difficult for me to be structured, for me to sit and create this. I basically get bored. Okay, so let's tackle that one first. Getting bored with your plan is natural even for planners. I am a planner. I'm a type A, so to speak. And part of my personality is that I do like to know how things get done. I like to know how I'm going to execute things. Now, I don't get bogged down with those details. Because I have worked through this and I work through this regularly, I don't get too bogged down with that stuff anymore. However, if you are finding that you are getting stuck, bored, overwhelmed, just blah with the whole planning process, that is okay. I don't want you to feel that those feelings are invalid. You are absolutely right. Planning is boring. It's probably one of the most boring words. It sucks, like, out loud. Like, it really, really sucks. So how this changes that for you is that it becomes more about action and less about decision making, because you can't know what you don't know. And if you don't know how to fly a plane and you want to become a pilot, your next step isn't necessarily to actually fly the plane. Or it could be, if that's what you find, that you already have all this other research done and you've already gone to school and you've already done all this other stuff. So the point that I'm making is trying to figure out every single detail up front creates a forward plan. That's what traditional planning is. It's forward, I got to make this decision and this decision and this decision and this decision, and eventually I'll get back here to, you know, this thing that I want to do, this desire that I have. And it's crippling. Achievement is crippled by choices. I want you guys to write that down. Achievement is crippled by choices. When you have to make choices that you have no answers to, that you have no research on, or that you have way too much research on and you really don't know where to start, it cripples you. So you can really see why planning is not really a thing for a lot of people. They don't really want to do it. They know they have to, and they do some form of it. But if they can help it, they're not doing it, and I totally understand that. So I'm going to read another one, and then we're going to go dive into, you know, what this looks like for a lot of people. So I've learned to execute my goals based on managers and based on outcomes that were set by others. Oh my God, so true, so true. When you are in school, which most of us have gone through, whatever level of schooling you've gone through, when you are in a career or in a job, if you're an entrepreneur now, you've had jobs, I assume. So when you're going through those things, your parents, then your teachers, and then your boss, they are dictating the shape of your work. They're telling you, this is the data point that we figured out, and these are the metrics you have to hit for that data point to become more than a data point, for it to become real for the company, for it to become real for the school, for it to become real for the class. This is what you have to do. And so all you have to do is be great at achieving that. You don't actually have to figure out about that most important thing. You don't have to get to that big thing. So then when you in turn try to take that same framework of creation into your everyday life, into your relationship goals, into your career goals outside of, that particular job performance, when you try to launch a business, when you're trying to plan a vacation, anything that requires you to sit and think and create how this is going to go, you are crippled. You just are. And as resourceful as you may be, at some point you hit a stopping point, and then you have to go back to the drawing board. And that is probably one of the most depressing feelings, to have to start over again, to feel like you failed yourself again, to feel like you show up for everybody but yourself again. My goodness. It's no wonder 80% of goals are not achieved. So when you are self-achieving and managing your life, these things are not being watched by someone else. They're not based on what someone else tells you to do. So when you're trying to, in these moments, take back your own power, guide your life, and, own the story and outcomes, they're kind of entirely optional, and that's where things get scary. And we're going to tackle that shit to the floor. You don't really have to do anything except make one choice. The one choice you have to make to get this started is your most important outcome. And it removes a hell of a lot of pressure from you. And it removes this unknowing, this fear, this, oh my God, that moment. It removes all of that. Like for me, when I feel an immense amount of pressure because I'm not sure how to execute something, my shoulders literally feel like I have my big marble dining room table on them, like just heavy, and like I sit in meetings and I like do this because I'm trying to get my shoulders to not hurt so much. Excuse me, just a moment. So I really, really feel it, like physically. That feeling becomes present in my body. And when you feel that kind of pressure with something you really want and you feel like you failed, that responds physically in your body. It becomes the physical reality. It's not just a feeling. And you begin circling the drain. It becomes what actually happens continuously, as opposed to you breaking that cycle and creating these wins. You're constantly going through this cycle of feeling like you suck, feeling like you failed, and feeling as though at the end of the day, the last thing you can do at this point is start this over again. So you may actually go ahead and create an all-new plan or an all-new goal instead of sticking true to your real desire and achieving that. And that's the last thing we want you to do. So if you've ever wondered why you're super amazing at your job and lousy at getting a promotion, lousy at networking, lousy at keeping up with a hobby or a vacation or planning or anything, we have just uncovered it. You don't actually suck at it. It's just you don't know how to plan. So I'm actually being joined right now by my special guest, Miss Chloe Love. She is the queen mother of self-healing, and that's a fancy way of saying she helps you get all facets of your shit all the way together. She creates this openness and this freeness so that you can execute and so that you can move how you need to. And I'm introducing her at this point because we've just talked a lot about the pressures that you feel and how they manifest themselves in this physical way to the point that you can't actually move forward. So I want to bring her in and I want to pose the question to her. When you have that pressure, when there is this immense crippling, oh my freaking God, I have to do this pressure because it's a college fund you have to save for. It's your child's education. It's the job that's going to pay your rent. It's the business that feeds your family. When it's like that, what is something that you can do to kind of relieve that physical manifestation and transform it? And that's going to be some of this part of the session is going to be some of our energetic work that we can do to keep ourselves in performance, to keep ourselves in action. So I'm going to go ahead and pass this over. I'm actually going to unplug my mic, and that way you'll be able to hear everything that's going on. And I'm going to shift a little bit, so excuse us as we shift. But welcome, Miss Chloe Love.
Thank you for such a beautiful, and yes, you're hearing my voice as we're shifting. But I just want to thank Miss for such a beautiful introduction. Oh my gosh, I was sitting in the corner like, oh yes, that's me. So, hi everyone. Before we get into all this fancy stuff, right? I just want to get us just get grounded. So I'm gonna ask everyone. Look, she's used to this.
I'm starting.
She's getting used to it. So I'm just gonna ask everyone to take three. We're gonna take 3 big inhales through our nose, and we're gonna exhale the same way. And the way you do it is when you're inhaling, you want to make sure that you feel the capacity of your air, having your heart expand. So it's a physical thing that you actually feel. So if you don't hear your heart, you feel your heart and your lungs being filled up, you're not breathing to your capacity. Mm-hmm. And sometimes, we don't have the training to do that, mm-hmm. because it does take time. I remember my first yoga teacher took me through that. I was like, what? You want my lungs to move? And he was holding me like, I don't feel your lungs. I don't feel my lungs. Right. So thank you for that. Thank you for participating and getting us all centered. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's talk about this pressure. This pressure that, we feel, mm-hmm. being a mid-level executive looking to, raise our vibration around our finances.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And I know Ms. Palmer has been talking to you about the backwards plan. Mm-hmm. Yes. And let me tell you something, honey. That thing, right, with all that I know, that backwards planning, that is one of the most divine strategies around getting stuff done that I have been introduced to. Like, seriously. So I hope you guys and gals are just really taking the backwards planning, because she offers this for free online. And that is a blessing, because the first time I was introduced to it, I paid to be introduced to that. So, please don't be taking that thing for granted. Download that workbook, mm-hmm. and fill it out. Get present to the exercise and do it, people. Mm-hmm. Do it, And so, when we talk about pressure is a physical experience. Mm-hmm. And though it lives in the mind, mm-hmm. right? And we have a relationship to it being in our mind, it's really a physical experience. Mm-hmm. And we have to get present to that. Okay. Right. So the thought that you're having around a certain thing, and in this case, up-leveling your finances, up-leveling your vibration and your frequency, so that you can, in real time, in reality, manifest what's there, what you created for yourself, and not be this airy-fairy, ethereal thing out there that's living in the existence of, oh, I wrote this in my journal, and 6 months later, a year later, you don't see it in your physicalness and the reality of who you are and the life you're living. It's not an outward expression of who you are. And that is disempowering for us. And it's one of the reasons why we don't believe ourselves when we say, oh, I'm going to go do this. We don't believe ourselves. And guess what? The people around us, they don't believe it either. Yeah. And so I want to take you to your childhood, right? So as a kid, I remember, excuse me, I shift around because I want to be free up here in this area. As a kid, you know, those moments when my birthday came around and my father and my mother orchestrated those birthday, those fabulous birthday parties. And I love ice cream, so they always bought me an ice cream cake from Baskin Robbins. And my dad was, I was a daddy's girl. And so he was very proactive in, just answering whatever wants, needs, desires that I had. I had wonderful friends. They would come over to my house, and we would just have a really great time. I would go on family picnics and company picnics, with my dad. And as a family, we just had a wonderful time, right? And then you get the siblings to come along. They come into the existence. And I have all these memories as a kid that vibrationally, they feel good to me. At no point in time am I rejecting them, right?
Okay.
Yeah, and when I speak about it, right, people can feel the happiness. I can take that happiness that was generated in 20 years ago, right, and regenerate it for someone else today as if it happened today. Yeah.
So you're regenerating happiness in your practice.
Yes, right?
Okay.
Now, the reason why I'm able to do that is because every experience that we've ever had in our lives, it actually lives in our body. Every single one. So as I'm just pulling up with every experience that's in my body, and I'm pulling it up and bringing it present for someone else. Or sometimes I'm regenerating it for myself.
Okay.
If I'm sitting, like I just came in from having a business meeting with someone, right?
Okay.
And so I regenerated what it was like to sign my first client in Atlanta last weekend for this person. Because I'm signing new clients. I'm bringing new clients into my practice. So I regenerated that for her. And she was like, oh, my gosh. Like, it was like she got signed up, right? But let's talk about the stuff you don't like, the experiences you're not that fond of, the stuff that we try to forget and push in the background of our minds. Well, the way our subconscious is set up, that's exactly what it does. When we experience certain things in life, and every bit about us says no, no, I don't like this. No, I'm not receiving this. No, such and such did this. And I don't like the way that felt. Or I went to talk to someone about this, right? And it didn't work out in my favor. I went to create this big thing for me, whether it was 10,000 extra income, whether it was making any kind of bold request whatsoever.
Okay.
Right? And then you don't get the outcome that you were looking to have for yourself. You say no. No, I don't like it. I don't like, we call it rejection. I don't like feeling rejected. I don't like the feeling of people not buying.
Yeah, something's in my eye.
Yeah. People not buying into me. Yeah, because when you make an invitation and it's accepted, a person bought into your possibility. They bought into who you are. They bought into your grand vision. And when it doesn't happen, you're like, no, I don't like that. And then your subconscious does one of two things. It either pushes it so deep in your body and out of your mind to where you don't even remember the no. You don't remember the no. But guess what? You remember the feeling. So what happens is that process leaves you with the feeling, but not necessarily a great context around how the no was created. So you live day to day having this limited energy around your self-expression. There's a limit. There's only a capacity for you that you can go. So like this glass, right? There's only so much water I can put in this glass.
Correct.
Right now the glass is about halfway full. I'm about to drink some, but it's about halfway full. And if I desire it to be full, I can only go to the brim before it starts pouring over. And it's the same thing with our bodies and who we are as people. We only have so much capacity for abundance. We only have so much capacity for abundance until we release the physicalness that was created, the energy of that no, out of our bodies.
Wow.
Right? So that we can what? Fill up our glass.
Fill up the cup.
Fill it up, right? So, you know that old positive saying like, oh, don't view your glass as empty or half full. Yeah. It's a wonderful statement, but they never talk about how to have this brimming over.
Yeah.
They never talk about not just it being full, but it's brimming over to such a point to where you're overwhelmed with happiness. You're overwhelmed with yeses. You're overwhelmed with the feeling of people buying into you, into your possibility. You're overwhelmed with being tapped into your self-expression and who you are. Yeah. And so that's why for most of us, when we're first being introduced into this work, we really understand like we don't have what we want. And sometimes we'll have a friend or two that we confide, you know, where we are. We have, you know, there's that background of relatedness and we trust them. It's like, girl, I don't know how I'm going to do, you know, this girl, I don't know how I'm going to find, you know, a job that's ideal for me.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know how I'm going to, you know, find a place where I can really grow into the person I envision myself being. And, you know, for people that have children, create a legacy for my children, you know. Or if you're sitting in a place where you work, you're great at working alone, but it's a struggle when it comes to working with teams and team management. I don't even know how I'm gonna approach that. I know the people around me view me as, you know, being an introvert, and I don't go to those company meetings, and I'm not really a part of the company culture. You just really don't have an awareness around how to get from here to there. And so, yeah, so that's the very first thing we look at inside the workshop is really getting present to what paradigm have you created for yourself. And people, you know, in my space, like the coaching space, they'll say, oh, you know, what story did you create about yourself? And that's true. But the reality is that story has facts. Facts that you have become attached to. Facts that are true. And so it's not a story from the perspective of it's unreal. It's just that you've taken facts and created a story that created a belief that you have about yourself. And so,
the belief is a thought that you think regularly, a thought that you continue to think.
It's really a way of being. It's beyond that. It's a way of being. You know, I don't believe that people will really buy into me because I don't have X in place. So that'll prevent you from going to that perfect meeting or that network meeting or that expo or calling that person that's in a position to help you. It'll prevent you from taking any of those actions because you're telling yourself, oh, I don't have everything that I need. Or
so what would they do to overcome that feeling? Like, what is something as we go through the backwards plan process, if we go through this with them today, live, and the whole time they don't believe they're going to do it, how do we kind of help them bypass that today?
Ooh, she asking for a lot, boy.
I'm getting you the good stuff. You can't say you showed up and did not get the good stuff. Sips water waiting for answer.
This is something I know people don't want to hear, and I'm aware of it because I didn't want to hear it. for a period of my life.
Okay.
Right? We know we'll have a problem, and we look for these tools and these resources to overcome the problem, to go around it. And yes, there's certain things you can compensate for, right?
Okay.
So, like in marketing, you could compensate for certain things. You don't have this, you can compensate for that, right?
Right.
Or even looking for a new job. If you don't have this skill, another skill of yours may compensate for you not having that, right?
Okay.
Or not having a degree. Maybe your 20 years of experience in the field will compensate for not having that degree. But when it comes to this stuff, there is no compensation. There is no byway. You have to be with it. You got to be with it.
How do you be with pressure?
Yeah, you live with it. You just
live with the pressure.
It. However, you do it in a way that's in alignment to you getting a release versus the way that we've kind of been cycling around. So you just go about your day knowing this thing is there, and you try not to pay attention to it.
Okay.
And you're actively trying to figure out a way to get rid of it.
Okay.
Not getting rid of it.
There's no getting rid of your pressure.
No getting rid of it. So the first thing that we do is that we acknowledge it.
Okay, so acknowledge the pressure.
Acknowledge the pressure. Acknowledge it, and then sit with it. Literally. How does this make me feel? What's showing up for me in my body? Is my throat getting restricted? Do I start doing this? Am I literally shaking? Am I shifting my focus somewhere else? Like, you at the job interview, and there's a table full of magazines and books, so you picking up the magazine and you flipping the pages, trying to think about anything else other than this person coming out to meet you.
Okay.
Right? You're psyching yourself out for the conversation.
So they sit with it, and then what do they do to transform it?
Okay.
Is there a way to transform it?
Yes, there is.
You can transform it?
Yes. So once you're present to it, you understand what it is. You understand the origin of where it came from.
Okay.
Right? You got in your body the sensory where it's highlighting for you.
Okay.
Right? For me, my whole being starts shaking.
Okay.
Right?
For me, it's pressure here.
Pressure there.
So it's like a pressure headache without the actual headache.
Okay.
So I just feel like someone's
closing in on you.
Yeah, like it's closing.
Like the room is closing.
Well, I don't feel anything else moving.
It's just internal?
It's literally just internal. Like at these two temple points, like right here, it just pushes.
Interesting.
It is.
Yeah. So when you pay attention to yourself, you'll be able to identify it. You do not have to be, a metaphysicist, even though we all are, but you don't have to have years and years and years of studying metaphysics to just sit with your body and see where it's at, right?
Okay.
Acknowledge that, be present to that, and then get the impact. What is the impact? The impact may be that you're underpaid. The impact may be you don't have the finances to take that class, to get that training, whatever's there for you, okay? Or you may not be able to put your children in proper schooling, or you may not be able to pay for dance classes or art classes or whatever it is there for you to create. Get with that impact that it's not happening. It's not happening for you. And really understand why it's not happening. Don't give yourself, don't let yourself off the hook, is what I'm saying. Be present to the impact. Once you get present to the impact and what it's costing you to stay here, to keep operating at this frequency, then you can reframe. Now you can create a new reality. This is where it starts feeling good to you. Though the good stuff is in the awareness, because without the awareness, you can't get to reframing. Though people try to, reframe without even sitting. But now we're in the good stuff. Now you can reframe. Now you can create a new paradigm, which means create a new belief system for yourself. But it starts with saying, I want this, and have it be something that, A, you're ready to do, because sometimes we're not ready, and that's the truth of it. I'm here to deliver you the truth. When you sit with where you are, you sit with the pressure, and you are really like there with the impact, and when you ask yourself, am I ready to transform this? Am I ready to change it? Sometimes the answer is no. And I want that to be okay for you. I want that to be okay for everyone on this call. And if it's a no for you, then I want you to tell yourself, okay, we're going to exhaust this out. So if you're a complainer, exhaust your complaining out. If you're a worrier, then exhaust your worrying out. I mean, worry like you never worried before. Now, I specifically, I put a date on my stuff. I'll say, girlfriend, you got 48 hours. You got a week. I don't like taking this stuff into another week. So a week is the longest I give myself. But you give yourself however much time you need to tell the story. Sit in the mud, wiggling it. You know how the dogs put their face in it? Like, sit in it, right? And if you sit with it, exhaust yourself out, when you're ready to create that new story, and you're ready, you're willing, and you're able, right? And ability doesn't mean, oh, I need this, and all this other stuff to move. Ability means that you're ready to be transformed. You're ready to actually bring into your experience what you want to have, what you say you want for yourself. You are ready to have that. Then guess what? Magic happens. Because we as human beings like to get caught up in the how. Yeah, but magic happens, and the how of it shows up, like this backwards plan. Some of you have been sitting looking for this, and it showed up for you. Yeah, or the impactful experience. Some of you have really been looking for how you can up-level your position and get to that high-level executive position. That may show up for you. Things which you don't have to worry about the how. That's your first introduction to magic. I'm going to pause and drink some water.
Magic.
Mm-hmm.
Woo!
Mm. And seeing yourself and knowing yourself as a magical being. And yes, there's other stuff, breathing techniques, meditation techniques, learn how to plant your vision. And there's so much other stuff, but that's the bare bones of it. Now I'm drinking some water.
Okay. So we're going to go ahead and move on into the actual work of what happens when you actually do the plan. So we're going to spend a little bit of time walking through a most important outcome. So after you've done the sitting and the acknowledgement, the reality of this is we're going to do this live for a particular outcome. If you are not ready, then that's okay. This will be recorded and sent to you, and we will just go through it when you are ready.
Or if you have a different outcome.
So for those of us who are ready right now and know what your outcome is, we're going to go ahead and discuss how to actually choose which of those outcomes that you're dealing with. Because although this is developed under the Impactful Resumes umbrella, this can be done for any aspect of your life. Professional, relationship, business, mentally, if spiritually there's something that you really want to do, if in your community there's something you want to do. This can be done for all of those aspects. But for the sake of shits and giggles, we're going to focus on a tangible business style of an outcome. And this will speak to you, to most of you, because this is kind of what you're dealing with right now. It's 2017, and we talked a lot about the financial aspect of not having what you want. So we'll take it from there as well. So we had a call on Tuesday. If you were there, hey, welcome back. Yeah, you missed out because it was like an awesome call. And so at this point, when we were on the call, we asked someone if they were brave enough to give us one of their most important outcomes and let us do this live. And do you know, not one of you was about that life. No one was.
And I was like, wait, but I was like, it ain't about me.
Like, no one was about that action. And that is not in any way accusation or any kind of judgment about you. I mean that to say sometimes we're really not as ready to share what we're doing. And I don't understand where that happens to the point that it cripples you from being taught. Like, at the end of the day, info overload is another reason why we're here, to get you in a system where you don't have to piece together a bunch of stuff. And if somebody gave me the opportunity to backwards plan what I have to do next, what I'm creating, and all I have to do is sit there and work through it with them, listen.
Let's go.
Right now. But again, that's because I'm ready. I've gone through my process, and I've reached a point where I'm ready. So I'm about to share the screen again, and I'm about to show you the first thing that you need to do when you're deciding, first and foremost, what your most important outcome is. So there is an add-on that I created as well, and you'll be receiving the add-on and the workbook. And so the add-on, I kind of went through the top of it to kind of walk you through some things. And then I wrote out what the process looks like, and I also created a workbook for you. So those of you who like to read, it's awesome. Those of you who want to work through it with us, it's awesome. So let's define the most important outcome. So after you do some I don't like this shit work, after you come to a realization of your impact, and you say, okay, we're going to transform that because this is what I'm really after. Yeah. Your most important outcome may not be what you're after. That may be one of your goals to reach your most important outcome. Yeah. So your most important outcome, I want you to get this, hear this, is the only actual decision you will be making in this entire process. There are no other choices you have to make. There's nothing else you have to do except walk through the steps. So you will be guided through everything else. You don't even have to think about it. And if you do, bring yourself back present to your most important outcome. So I'm going to backwards plan myself because none of you wanted to let me do yours.
Sad thing.
I am a little bit sad. But I'm going to backwards plan myself. Now, I've already done this, but I'm going to do it fresh because there's some new things that may come up for me in this process. We're going to spend about 20 minutes going through this, and it will go more swiftly for me. So when you do this for yourself, do not get discouraged that it takes you a week or a day. Don't, please, do not rush because you won't get what you need to get. Okay? So please, take your time. So my most important outcome professionally at this moment is to create and host my 10-person workshop that I have already scheduled for February the 17th through the 19th. It is called The Impactful Experience, and I only want to do 10 people because I have some things that I want to actually execute live. So one of the things I want to execute live is their resume. I want to create and develop their resume with them so that they understand what it really takes. If they need to edit it at all, they'll see what that looks like for them. I also want to create their plan. So it may not be their full backwards plan. It's actually called a job scouting blueprint. So with that blueprint, it allows them to align directly, hyper directly with exactly what they want to do. And sometimes it'll shift. It could go from being in banking to being in insurance. It could go from being a marketing coordinator to being a brand manager. It can really shift for you when we do your blueprint because it's not so much about what you got your degree in or what people tell you you're great at. Sometimes in this moment or at that moment in February, it will only be about what it is that's going to create a new impact. And so I want a blueprint from that space. And so I want to execute that as well. And then finally, I will be executing live their LinkedIn. So I'll be walking through how it's set up, the best way to use it, how to create a title that actually gets you viewed, and how you can manage your social networks in about 30 minutes a day. Yeah, how you can execute full management and engagement on your networks for 30 minutes a day.
Wait,
less than that.
One network or multiple?
Well, with the strategies that I teach, it will be multiple. Now, the other thing that we'll be going through and how we're managing is that once you realize what your outcome is and the kind of things you need to align to, you probably won't be on multiple. You will have no need for them because they're not serving you.
Okay.
So some of us, they do serve you. For instance, Facebook doesn't really serve me like Twitter does. That's something that I'm aware of. However, Facebook has certain features like the groups, like the event setup, things like that live. A lot of other networks have it, but people seem to be very comfortable with people they know. Yeah. So I can reach people that are already comfortable with me on Facebook, whereas Twitter is great for me reaching a new audience. So that's kind of how I differentiate. But that's something that took me a long time before I realized I should have just backwards planned my way there. So that's my most important outcome right now. Those are the things that I'm present to. Those are the things that I'm creating for these 10 attendees. And I want to do this for people that are already aware that they need a change. I'm not interested in convincing any of you or anyone that they need me or that they need this or that they need X. I don't feel that that's a great business model in today's time, and I don't feel like it would serve you very well if I spent half my time convincing you of something. So we're not going to do any of that. So that kind of speaks to the person I'm looking for. And the other side that I wanted to present is what you do, because you help people redefine and transform internally because they come with this story. They come with these hindrances. They're ambitious. Mm-hmm. You could be a six-figure earner coming to this. This is not for people that only make X, Y, Z. Yeah. You can be making 50 grand. You can be making 250 grand. This is about the fact that there's something you're trying to do and it's not there yet. Mm-hmm. And you have something preventing it. So we're going to tackle your tangible stuff, your how that you feel no one's teaching you, that no one tells you how to do. We're going to tackle your how, but we're also going to tackle your why. We're going to tackle your internal stuff, and we're going to help you move through that. Well, she's going to help you because I'm going to be there to support you through the process. I will be there. You will have your private sessions, and then you'll have group sessions with myself as a leader, and you will have your participants. And then I want those 10 people to be paired up as well so that post-experience, they will have each other. Accountability partners.
That's so perfect.
Yeah. So that's what I'm present to, and that is what I am creating. And so my most important outcome is the event, right? So I'm going to show you what the workbook looks like. So I wrote it out. Set your most important outcome. What is your ultimate goal, career goal, whatever the case may be? My example is fill and host a 10-person workshop for getting past barriers to massive career growth. That's my elevator pitch. And so the workbook looks like this. When you open it up, this is pretty much what you see. Let's get that down. So this is what you see when you open it up. And it's very simple. It's got our brand colors in it, my name, the company, and then you get right into action. There's not at all a lot of fluff, which is why I have the add-on to walk you through this as well so that you have, oh, that's what that means. Yeah. So that's what this is about. So what is the very next step in the backwards plan? And this is where people get hung up and why it's not forward moving and it's backwards moving. Mm-hmm. Instead of me thinking about all the intricate details that have to happen, I'm going to think big, broad level. What are the big guns that I would need? Like the very thing, the very next things I need. If that's going to happen, what are the big things that support it? Yeah. Not the intricate little details. What's the big guy that I need next? Well, I need a place for them to be. They can't be in my apartment. So I need a place.
As wonderful as it is.
You know, they can't be here. Yeah. So I need a professional setting that allows for the energy work and allows for the tangible work. Cool. Mm-hmm. So I need a location, right? And you see, I did get into the detail and I brought myself back. Cool. I ended it. Don't spiral. Now is not the time. We have some time for you to spiral in the backwards plan. It is a necessity. You will spiral sometimes, and I'll tell you when you do that. But for right now, even if you get to the point, well, dang, I need a space that, stop yourself. That's not where we're at right now. You need a space. So put down space, a location. That's one of the ones I put down. I clearly need the attendees. I need the 10 people. I'm not going to go into this is what they look like. I'm not going to go into my avatar. I just need them. So the attendees, right? Attendees are up here. That's the top one I did when I first did this. But as you notice, this time around, my concern was mostly on the where. So if I were doing my backwards plan today, I'd set my MIO, which is a 10-person workshop. Ooh, Lord. Don't judge me, y'all. Stop. Okay. Hey, okay? So these are called your level 1 needs. That's why I said broad, big, no details. Literally, first thing on your mind, a location. Second thing on my mind was the people that are going to fill the location. What else would I need? I need to get the word out. So that would be called promotion. In my world, that's what that's called. So I need the promotion. I need something to teach them. So I need them to be able to have materials during the process. Some materials. And the only other thing I wrote down previously is that I would need help executing it. Now, I mentioned my co-host here, but realistically, there's other aspects of this that her and I we're hosts, and it takes a team. So I need help. So I'm not even going to think about the kind of help I need. I'm just going to think about the help. Help. So those are my level 1 needs. Now, being that you are a co-host, out of these level 1 needs, is there anything you feel that's missing that absolutely come in order to have this executed?
Location, attendees, promotion, materials. Well, you covered it in help. Because what came up for me was assistants, greeters, but help covers it.
Right. So you see, she was getting into detail, and I helped.
Food, caterers. But that's in help.
And location. Caterers can come into location. So this is where the backwards plan keeps you on track. You don't have to make all those decisions. You don't have to decide you need a caterer yet. You just know that you can't do this alone. You know you can't host 10 people over 3 days alone. So as long as you know that, that's all you need to know right now. It's not a decision you made. These are the facts. These are the absolute things that have to occur right right underneath the workshop, not the details. And I say that because I need everyone to be clear. Do not at this point get yourself in a tornado of stuff, because that's what it's like planning. It's a tornado. It's I need this, and I got all these moving parts, and I got this, and I got that, and I got to talk to her, and I got to do this, and I got to find this.
Overwhelm sets in.
Overwhelm and pressure. You don't need that.
Which creates confusion.
And you feel like you got to make all these choices. You don't. You've made the choice. You've done the work, you've done the centering work and the grounding work, and you've become aware of the impact, and you've decided this is what you're going to do instead. This is what you're present to right now. It's what you're creating. You've done that. You've got your most important outcome, and you've written it down. You have literally told the universe this is what you want, and then you told anyone reading it that's what you're going to do. You have put it on paper. That's it. Do not stress yourself out here, people. Please. I'm going to give you an opportunity to stress yourself out and worry. This is not it. Get excited right now, okay? I need excitement. I need you to be just moving forward. Yes, this is the good stuff.
Feeling good in your body, and just like,
Yay. And so now is the time where you can ask some questions. So now we're going to get into details. So those are your 5 umbrellas. Help, well, for us, for me, it's help, it's a location, it's attendees, it's promotion, it's materials. That's where I'm at. So now I'm going to say, let's take the first thing I thought of, a location. How do I get that? How do you get a location? You book one.
But you got to go to how do I
book one? Right. Okay, so I got to book one. Okay, so what do I need to book one? So those are the 2 questions that stop you from making all these choices and simply allow you to say, oh, okay, bam, bam, bam. These are the realities of the world we live in. So unless you're Amish, you should know these answers. No, seriously, you should know these answers. I don't care if you've ever planned an event, because newsflash, guys, other than online, I've never done it. I've never had to do it for myself. I've done corporate events. I've been a member of a team. I've been a team manager, but it's never been on me to do everything. So this is on me to figure out location. So when you go somewhere and you're at a hotel and in a meeting room, that is their location. So what did they have to do that? And so that's where I go. I don't reinvent the wheel. I say, there was a hotel room. Okay, so, well, no, that might not work, because I said I wanted a location that, I need a location that can host energy work, Lord have mercy, and classroom style work, in-classroom work, right?
Yes.
So when I'm thinking about how do I get the how do I get that? Okay, so I'm thinking energy, flow, freedom outside. Okay, so I want access to maybe a balcony, or I want access to a place and some privacy. Some privacy. You have to have time with her. You have to have a one-on-one session with her, and you have to have personal time with me. So this location is probably multi-room. Okay, and has outside access. So as I'm going through this, everything I need to do right now, can I do that tomorrow? The answer is no. Mm-hmm. The reason I can't do that tomorrow is because I can't book it tomorrow. Yeah. So how do I get that? And I got to research. So what I did at this point was I went to Google and I researched, and I came up with 7 or 8 locations, and I ran them past her so she could look at them and get a connection to them. And if the connection wasn't there, and you know what happened? You know what happened? When I called, before we were even like, okay, well, no, it's pretty, it's beautiful. Yeah. You know, it fit the brand, because my brand is a luxury brand. I don't really do the everyday. I'm not an everyday brand. So if my brand is about abundance, that means the location has to be as well. When you walk in, you have to be in a state of abundance. And for what it's worth, luxury is abundance. Let's not confuse it, people. Yes. Luxury is not in my life. It is not an option. It is a necessity. So when you show up, I'm not saying the walls have to be painted in 24 karat gold, but I'm saying you have to feel that. So there were only a certain few hotels I chose. There were only a few locations that were even on my radar. And as we went through that, when I tell you, people, they weren't answering the phone. They weren't returning phone calls.
It was so surprising to me. Someone's calling you to invest in your business, because it is an investment. Anytime someone patronizes your business and you literally don't pick up the phone.
So this is the point when I spiraled. Because I was like, nobody's answering the phone. I wouldn't have the universe wouldn't have put this on my spirit if I couldn't create this. I am good at this for others. I am good at this in other ways. This is going to get done. And so I said, okay, well, there are a few things on your list. So before you have your feelings, miss, but before you really go in and spiral on your backwards plan, how about you finish calling? Let's finish that first. And I said, you know what? I'm all ahead of myself. You right, self, and self said true. And so after I listened to Source and Miss External and Miss Internal got aligned, I called the host location, which is...
Ooh, you gonna tell?
Yeah.
For so long, like we knew, and we were doing our marketing and promotion, but we were
holding it in.
Because look, I'm excited because I have an opulent. My brand is opulence and spirituality. So you know, I had my eagle eyes on looking for the perfect location for the wonderful people that are going to be with us on this weekend. And so I'm just overjoyed about this location. As soon as we got there,
It was just
it was almost a yes. We had to work out the logistics and all the numbers and all the other stuff, but it really was a yes soon as we got on the ground. Okay, go ahead.
So this event is going to be hosted at Atlanta Botanical Gardens. And that may not send a lot of you in hoops because you live in Atlanta. You've probably been there. If you've been there, you know it's drop dead gorgeous, so you should be jumping up and down. And if you haven't been there, you likely have heard of it and want to go. So the reason why it's such a big friggin' deal is they just started hosting corporate events. And I do mean just. Okay, Pumpkin? So not only have they just started allowing it, okay, they have offered us an opportunity to have 3 days for the price of one.
Yeah.
They have offered us the opportunity to get you guys a private tour. They have offered us an opportunity to access the grounds as we see fit. I mean, your parking's included. We'll have to. I mean, I'm just ready right now for you guys to be. I'm ready to go right now. So everybody, get your computer, shut it down, and meet me there, like right now. But in all seriousness, it's a big deal because you're not gonna go sit in a conference room in a hotel and eat bland, expensive food and be there for however long in uncomfortable chairs listening to me talk. This is an experience for you, and I am so ecstatic to be creating this. Okay.
This is not the talking workshop.
This is not about that. So the workshop, like this workshop, is doing it. Let's get in there in the trenches. So when I found that space, it covered all three of these. So my location was done. So eventually, after I did my research, the next question was, can I have or do that tomorrow? And the answer became yes after maybe 3 days of going through, how do I get that? Okay, no, how do I get that? Okay, well, how do I get that? After those 3 days, and I called around to that list of research I did, the answer became, yes, I can have that tomorrow. And it created win after win after win. Even though it was frustrating, even though some of the people weren't on board, it was simply because I wasn't about that. It wasn't a match, it was a mismatch. So even though the Le Méridien and St. Regis are gorgeous, and I love going there for spa treatments and lunch, it wasn't for this group of people. It wasn't for that. And that's something that I had to go through. So it's something that you go through, but I didn't make that choice. I didn't choose Atlanta Botanical Gardens. I searched it. It came up. I put it on the list. I called them. It happened. And that's what I need you to understand about this process. It's not about a choice. I didn't make a choice. It happened. It occurred. It revealed itself because I had already set my most important outcome and I followed the process. So the next step is, what if the answer is no? When the answer was no, this is what I did. How can I get by without it? I can't. I cannot get by without a location. So when all these people weren't answering their phone, can I get by without a location? No. No. Okay, so how do I get a location? How did I get my location, y'all? I just walked you through it. I called. I stuck with my list. I stuck with my research. And I called until it revealed itself. And sometimes it won't.
But here's the point too. We took bold action as well. So those people who, for whatever reason, right, didn't pick up the phones, we just showed up. We just showed up at their location, like, hi. You know? And once we got there, what wound up happening is we were able to see the places, like see certain locations that's like, oh, we have this available. And he was like, oh, yes, I did get your email. Like, yes, I did get your voicemails. Yeah, right. So we had to take some bold actions with other people just so that we can have an idea of what was going to work and what wasn't. And then, of course, like once we got into the space, it was like, no, this is not working.
And honestly, it wasn't the space that made me say it wouldn't work. it was more or less the experience. Yeah. I don't like being made to feel that me giving you my money is a chore for you. I don't like to be made to feel as though if I don't do this right now the way you're telling me to, it can't happen. That's untrue. It's untrue because it's going to happen without you. It's going to happen in spite of you because it's already manifested. It's already created. So it's going to happen. And so taking that bold action allowed the win. Those were the wins. So as I went through how do I get it, okay, well, I'm going to stick with my research. Okay, what does it mean to stick with your research? It meant continuing to reach out. Outreach didn't just mean phone calls and emails because it wasn't working. So I said, okay, what's another form of outreach? I went old school to the way I used to run my business, and I put on my heels and I beat the pavement. And that's what happened. And it wasn't until I did make a phone call, we did go on a tour, and so it did go through that same process, a process that didn't require me to decide that that was the process. It just is what it was. And so as you go through this, let it happen. Let your research guide you when it is time for you to research, and my research came very early in my plan because I needed a location. My research came early, so since my research came so early and I had to ask, well, how do I get that? How do I get by without it? What do I do? These are the questions, and they're not, the answers to these questions weren't my choices because I don't own the location. I had to follow what I was told. So that's what I mean by you really don't have to make a bunch of choices. You just have to move. You have to be in action. And so that's what this part is about. And sometimes, let's say the attendees, let's go to the attendees. How do I get them? What if the answer was, what if I got stuck? So when you get stuck in this process, obstacles and problems, you have to pick. What's your problem? Is your problem emotional or is your problem strategic? Mine was, sometimes it was both. With the attendees, because marketing your baby, your most important outcome, your desire.
It's an emotional experience.
Ooh, it's an emotional experience. And when you don't get the response you're looking for, the way you're looking for it, as you mentioned, that's when you sit with it. And there's this whole other process. And so if your problem is emotional, you work through it as we've discussed. But when your situation is strategic, is it because you're stalling? Is it because you're afraid? Is it because you're not doing it for yourself? So answer. I got stuck in the attendees because, let's say, getting attendees because I was using the wrong platform. All eggs in this basket. So that was the problem. I was using Facebook ads, and Facebook ads work brilliantly. However, they work brilliantly when people don't know you if you're selling a product.
Yeah.
They don't work. Let me cut my light off because I don't want the battery to go out. But they don't work. Sorry, guys. I was thinking about products, and I just bought a product, and it was on it versus battery, and I almost spiraled. Like, excuse me. So that process went pretty quickly for me because I do it. So I got stuck because I was following the guidance of several really brilliant people with these huge platforms on Facebook. And it works great because they already have the platform. So they are advertising to their people.
Yeah.
Now, the strategy when you don't have a huge platform, because I don't, I'll be honest about that, guys. Like, I am not a guru. I do not have this huge audience of people that I can go tap into these 500,000 folks whenever I want. My work has been very one-to-one, so my people are really my people. And a lot of them are overseas. I have a lot of people that are in Australia. I have a lot of clients. I have clients that's in Paris, a couple of them. I have clients that are in LA. I have a lot of clients that are not in Atlanta. And so this is a new business, and they didn't know me. And so it was like I was getting all these hits, and people were interested, and they were looking, but no one was signing up because, lady, I don't know you.
Right.
I'm not giving you all this money.
Come be with you for 3 days?
Negatory. So what I realized was, okay, maybe online. I'm not as effective online as I am in person. My personality hits in person. Even on video, it hits and people are organically drawn to that because I'm an authentic person. I live and breathe and ooey gooey what I do, and the support for anybody really living like that. I ooze those things. So when I'm in person, it was rolling in. People were signing up. People wanted calls. It was rolling in. People were interested. And when I was doing the Facebook thing, when I wasn't doing it in person, felt such little support.
Yeah.
I was going through such an emotional roller coaster of not having support and feeling like, oh, my God, I know this can happen. I know it's going to happen, but what in the heck do I do? And so this is when I got unstuck. This is how I got unstuck, right? This was the time for you to spiral. Because I was like, oh, shit, I'm never getting this. It's never going to happen. Oh, my God. What am I going to do? I spiraled. This was the time for that. So now is when I spiral. Okay, can I go to other people's events and steal them? Go to other people's events and steal their clients.
Not ethical. We could.
I mean, it's possible. I could lie. I could, so stealing, lying. I could kidnap them. I love it.
You just got kidnapped for transformation.
I can hack someone else's event and show up instead. Someone's online list and market to them. So basically, another
form of stealing.
It's hacking. Hacking ain't stealing. It's hacking. Yeah. Oh, I could just go to events and organically attract. Go to events and organically attract people. And so then I investigated my shit. So I went down the list. I said, okay, now that I'm on solid ground, I feel better because I've spiraled out of control.
Exhausted.
Now, you've been told twice to exhaust and to spiral. You've been told twice. So there is something to this. Men, women, children, spiral. Stop acting so fucking perfect. You're imperfect. This process, while effective, oh my, you are a person. You are magical. You are a creator, and that process is not cut, dry, done tomorrow. I got everything I want. If that was the case, you wouldn't need workshops like this. You wouldn't need leaders like us. You wouldn't need your mentor or your family. You wouldn't need people. So you need people because you need them in order to execute anything. You need that connection. And so it was about all of those things was about connecting with other people. Lying, hacking them, stealing them, throwing them over my shoulder and kidnapping them, throwing them in the trunk and feeding them until February. Like it was, like
feeding them.
I watched too much Scandal because, quite frankly, we could have put an IV in them, right, to keep them knocked out, and then another IV to feed them their nutrition, and then they could have woke up thinking they just left work. Ooh. I just need to go find a hook, thinking we could just reintroduce the memory that they signed up for this. We could have backdated their emails, and it could have been a whole production. I spiraled, like I really went there. Like, so I spiraled and I investigated all of my shit. And when I did, it was like, could I factually, legally, ethically make that happen? Nah.
Next story. But that was fun. Yeah.
But it brings you back because it's like, yo, I'm a damn genius. I am a mad genius. That is a win. Realizing you're a fucking genius is a win. Realizing that you could kidnap somebody and be straight is a win. It's a win because you know that you have the capacity to critically think.
And you explored all your options.
And I explored all my options. Like, okay, that wasn't working. I'm about action. So I did what they told me to do. I asked questions. I did that. Then I revised it. Then I did that. And then I got lost. Because I kept doing what other people were telling me would work. And fortunately, I got off my ass and did what I know works for me. And that allowed me to say, you know what they did, what they were telling me to do could work in this and this and this instance. So I was able to investigate my failure, and I was able to investigate the success. And I was able to put them together and create a hybrid. So none of that would work because it's illegal. So why not? Why wouldn't it work? It's illegal, immoral, unethical, wrong. Like, just not cool, man. Yeah. Okay, so that wouldn't work. So once I investigated all of them, the only one that would work was that last one, go to events and organically attract people.
Copy and paste.
Yep, and so I was like, okay, so that would work, right? And cool, it does work because I'm critically thinking it does work. And so I say yes, that's a yes. And so since that's a yes, what do I do now? This is also a point where people get stuck. I got another yes. Okay, wait, what did I do before? Because this could take you a week. This could take you a week. And when you go back to this, I want you to do one simple thing. Go back
to the top, man.
You're back at a level 1 need. You said this is how you're going to get your attendees. So the only question you need to ask yourself now is, can you do that or get what you need tomorrow? I answered yes finally on the attendees. So the next step is to move on to another level 1 need. That's the backwards plan in its nutshell, in its big, awesome, I don't have to do anything except be nutshell. And I know we went through it, and I know you're probably like, well, that may not work for XYZ, but it will work if you want a fucking cheeseburger. If right now, in this moment, you hungry and you want a big, fat, juicy damn cheeseburger, and you don't want to have to ask your girlfriend because she takes forever figuring out where she wants to get her cheeseburger from, backwards plan your way. It is. Listen, so no, but seriously,
in this moment,
you are not judged; you are accepted, and that's also a fact. It's a fact. These are facts. So as long as it's a fact, you're not judging. As long as you don't attach a action or a feeling to that, you're not judging. Just let it be.
Is it wrong to want the best lamb burger you can find in your city? Is it wrong? You know, somewhere where you can get grilled onions, pineapples, you know, pepper jack cheese.
And I'm further and further. With every topping she lists, I'm further and further away from a delicious fucking cheeseburger. So that's where you go with that. But at the end of the day, you notice I said cheeseburger. I didn't say what meat. She got too deep too soon. So I want a fucking cheeseburger, bro. Okay, I digress because I was some type of way. But that's why this process worked when I introduced it to her, because she's such a moving, just details and all this conjuring. She conjures and conjures and conjures, but it's not always time to conjure. All I said was I wanted a cheeseburger. We didn't get how to get that yet. We didn't get what do I need to get that. Those are what I need. I need the grilled onions. I need lamb. I need this. Those are the what I need. Okay, can I get that tomorrow? Basically means, are you ready to do that? Are you ready to complete that? Hell yeah, because I'm hungry. No, you're not ready because you haven't found the location that does all that burger shit. So that's when it becomes clear that, okay, I might be getting out of line with myself. I may be getting ahead of myself. And so this is where I'm about to break down how this is completely different from traditional planning. And I'll let you kind of look at this again and kind of scroll through this. You will get a copy of this. It'll be empty. So this is pretty much all you do. This is a conversation, and you can do this with every need. But yeah, this is all I need for you to do. This is it. This is your process. The only process you ever need to figure out your achievements. You don't have to start over. You don't have to ask. If you do have to ask someone, you'll do it at the right time. You won't start out by getting a bunch of people's opinions that are just going to throw you off your game. You'll only do that when it's time. And you won't have to decide when it's time. It'll show you it's time. When you go through this, it'll show you your steps. You don't have to think about your steps. You don't have to create your steps. You don't have to You don't have to even write this down. You don't even have to do anything. You open your workbook, you type it out, you save that thing, and you move on to your next one. And that's all you need to do. You have this up every morning. I have a whiteboard that I do my to-dos on. Your do it tomorrow tasks are your daily wins. This webinar is a win. Having worked through this with you guys is a win.
Absolutely.
So these are my daily wins. You guys are one of my daily wins today, so I thank you and appreciate you. And I wanted to bring you present to that because that's where a lack of motivation kicks in. On Tuesday, we had someone ask the question, well, how often do you say, oh, well, I can do it tomorrow? I said when you stop thinking of it as a put-off. Your do it tomorrow tasks are not, oh, I'll do that tomorrow.
Yeah.
No.
Give yourself a way out.
Yeah, no. Let me get super clear on what do it tomorrow means. Do it tomorrow does not mean to actually do it tomorrow. It doesn't mean to put off until tomorrow. When you're going through this and you're saying, can I do this tomorrow? It's about readiness. Am I ready to sign a contract tomorrow for a location? No. Why? Because I haven't found it.
Yeah.
So I still need to find it. How do you find a location? Google is my best friend. So I went to Google. I didn't really go ask anybody. You want to know why I didn't ask anybody, y'all? Because I see what my people do. I see what they're best at. And I didn't know anybody personally. Like, I talk to them, I see them, we go to lunch, we text, we have a relationship I didn't know, and now I do. All because I said go to events and organically attract people.
Because I want people to really be present to what's going on here, right? So I was with Miss when she felt like the legs were being knocked from up under her. And the key thing that I want you to walk away from this call with is she exhausted herself. She exhausted herself. And then when she was complete with that, she got into action and magic happened. But without really being right there with how that felt, right? Because people always talk about how these things get done, and we don't always, reflect on or bring into the conversation because we like to look good, people. We like to look good. So really be clear on the process. Be clear on the process so that magic can show up for you.
Totally.
Yeah, thank you.
But yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's so absolutely true because what we're talking about, what I've just given you is a system, right? Excuse me, let me adjust. What I've given you today, the backwards plan is a system, right? And in that system, that's a tangible system. It's something you write in, it's something you touch, it's something you do, right? But when you're doing that, the spiraling part, although you're writing it down, that has to happen internally. The exhaustion happens. My exhaustion was maybe 2 or 3 days, I think. I didn't put a time frame on how long I gave myself, but in remembering how shitty I felt, I don't really dwell. Like, that's not really my personality, but I do analyze. And so that analyzing felt so shitty. I cried. I talked to the people that were closest to me that weren't being supportive. That said they would be. Not people that are just like, you didn't call me to say about what I was doing this week. No. Like, I was very clear on who I was pissed off at. And I had a reason. I was very clear. And I called them and I told them I don't have time for these games. And even though I said that to them, I was like, oh, yeah, so you still got XYZ going on, right? Oh, okay, well, here's a resource for that, a resource for that, a resource for that. Now I'm not talking to you because I'm mad at you. Yeah. But when you want to talk, call me. Getting present to that and moving forward in that and figuring out what I was okay with was the process of the spiral, of the exhaustion. In your internal work, it will be exhaustion. In your external view, it will be spiraling because you will be tangibly going through and typing out. So I want you to spiral physically like a tornado, spiral and write it out, write it out, write it out, write it out, write it out. Get all that stuff out. Lie, cheat, steal, hack, throw a body over your shoulder, I don't know, gas a 10-foot building of professionals and take only the people that work on the 10th floor. Like whatever you got to do. So go through that process, and the magic came out of it. One simple thing, go outside. I was like, oh, true. But you know what? I came to that also. In my spiraling, people poured into my love tank. People poured into me. People were sharing and liking things, and people were that I was meeting just randomly. I mean, I would walk into a supermarket and people were pouring into me. I was present to the pouring because, you know, someone tells you look nice and you're in the middle of the day and you just blah, 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 and you just move on. But I was so acutely present to it because I felt so shitty. I was so acutely present to, I look great. Are you sure? Like, I feel like shit right now. Like, really? Thank you. Okay, so that was a deposit. And then there was another deposit. And then there was another deposit. And it was like, I need to be around more people, like physically. Like, I need to be around people. And so it came, but that only came because I was at bottom. I allowed myself. So,
I love it.
Oh, goodness. It's the process is so beautiful. So what I'll close out with before we go into telling you more about this creation, my MIO, and since I have poured into you guys, and you can comment and share and let me know what you got from this. But as I've poured into you guys over this almost 2 hours, I want to move and transition into our information session with one cue, and that cue for you all right now, your homework, your cue, is that I really want for you to start. And people always say, just go do anything, just start, get in action. Getting in action and being purposeful about that are not the same thing. So this is about you being purposeful in that action and then having a system for your action. So you should not leave this without the why or the how. If you leave this without that, you weren't here. You were distracted. You were
on your phone
doing something. And that's okay. But the next thing I want you to do as you watch the replay, as you go through this with this workbook, your cue is to be in purposeful action. We have given you how to figure out your MIO. We have given you how to work through your internal stuff. And your pressure. We have given you how to stay motivated by creating your daily wins, by not getting into all these details up front and trying to do something that you're not prepared to do anyway, and to do the stuff that you are and to work through that process. We've given you that, and then I've given you the exact framework to do it in. So you don't have any missings for what you need to actually go execute this. You don't have any missings. And the reason, the title of this was How to Create Limitless Achievement, right? And to do so with ease. So that cue is simply to go do that. Create your plan, because you're creating your plan with ease. This should create a lot of sensual ease around planning, freedom around it. So you should do that easily, or with ease, and you should be able to create limitless achievement because you can save as whatever. You can save this PDF as whatever. You can save this process as, okay, my relationship. You can save this as, my finances. You can do this for your major standpoints in your life.
It's unlimited.
All of them. You can choose all of it. Now, what I will say, though, is not the reason I say be in purposeful actions, because I don't want you to choose everything right now. You can't do all of them at once. And I'm sorry, but that is just the reality. You are not Superman, Superwoman. You just can't. So what is pressing for you is going to be that first one, when you do that internal work we talked about, that comes up, that impact, and you say, okay, well, I want this. Plan that. Do that. And that's where you need to start. I won't tell you to just start. I would say start purposefully. And thank you, because there are certain things. I had this laid out of how this was going to go. And it didn't all go that way, but the things that were said, I felt needed to be said, and I felt needed to be worked through. And believe it or not, we did spend 22 minutes walking you through how I did mine. I didn't go through all my level ones, but did I really need to when I walked you through a huge, two of them, the location and the attendees? Most people would argue that if you don't have those, there's nothing else you need. Without those, nothing else exists for this particular MIO, right? So those were the big guys. And I shared with you a lot of the personal internal struggle that I went through and how that allowed me to become more useful and more of service than I had been that week before.
Listen, I'm not sure why you showed up here today. It might be you have an area of life that you feel desperate to change and are ready to take action. It might be your main areas of life are going pretty well and you want to add to that success and make your life even greater. It might be you are getting a new job or promotion and want to lay out where it's headed before you get hyper involved and wrapped up in the day-to-day. It might be because you're ready to take some control and not let any doubts or missings hold you back from anything you really desire. So the obvious question is, how can you apply this system for creating and profiting from your desires in your financial life? Well, you have a choice. You can do it slow, using trial and mostly error, taking some of what I've shared today. Or you can do it quickly and use my 7-module Impactful Masterclass live event to break through any barriers to massive career and subsequently financial growth. For a lot of you guys, you've probably been on these types of webinars in the past, right? You get excited and fired up, and then what happens the next day? Probably nothing for most of you guys and gals. And that's really sad to me because I just showed you the exact system I use to create massive action that helps my clients create 7-figure incomes doing what they love. And it's the exact same system and process we are currently following right now in our businesses. And we're going to surpass 5-figure months in the next 90 days. So if nothing happens for most of you guys, the reason for that is because old habits are really hard to break. Unless you do something right here, right now, you'll go back to your office tomorrow and fall back into those exact same habits. The only way you're going to be successful is if we can figure out a way to break that habit now, right now. And the way to do that is by investing in the live event. So now we can work closer with you and give you all the tools you need, not just one, all the tools you need to break the habit and become limitless in your success. If you don't do this, you're going to slide back into that exact same habit because you only have a piece of the puzzle. And everything we did here for the last 2 hours will be completely useless to you because you'll slide back into that old habit. The only way to break that habit is to invest in breaking that habit. And you have an opportunity right now so that we can give you the tools to help you break all those bad habits and take your career and finances to the next level. So I want to give you guys an opportunity to see what it looks like when you come onto the website and purchase your ticket. So let's head to impactfulresumes.com/masterclass. That's MASTERCLASS, and you should have that popped up on your screen now. So let's navigate to the website, to the page rather, and let's take a look. All right, so let me share this. And here we go. So when you navigate to the page, this is what it looks like from the top. It, has the title, and it leads you through. And hello, better is so possible. I love this picture because it's in a work environment. This is just such motivation. I would love walking in to see that every day. So I digress. Moving on. As you go through the page, it kind of walks you through a conversation and, get your mind right. And then it tells you some more about the event and what you can expect. And after you read some testimonials of people that have worked with me, you'll see a reserve your spot button. Because you're ready to invest and break these habits, you're going to go ahead and click this button now and come to this screen. And when you get here, now don't mind these because I've walked through this already, so it's just saying I can't add another one, meaning you will only be able to add one ticket to your cart. And the reason for that is because it creates a digital ticket, so each person will have their name on it. And remember, guys, there are 10 slots for this. This isn't an open course. This isn't an online course. This is a live event. There are only 10 tickets, so that's especially why this is not something you can really do here. If you've already done business with me and you've had your LinkedIn done, let's say, and you're now ready to experience it live and go through the rest of your documents and really get serious, just log in, and all your details will populate. For the rest of you fabulous first-timers to the Impactful Resumes experience, I want you to go ahead and fill out your details here. Super simple form, right? I mean, this is like a no-brainer. It tells you your cost. You click that you have read the terms and conditions, guys. This is important, and it's important because there will be, images that we take at the event. We'll want to get your testimonial. So it's just important that you read through that when you have a sec. And then you would click Proceed to PayPal and finish out your payment. And it's really, really that simple, guys. And we already went through some of what's included with your ticket, but I'll show you the visual. So you get your resume, your LinkedIn, and your career blueprint mapped out for you, right? And then you have lunch and parking all 3 days at the beautiful Atlanta Botanical Garden. I mean, ridiculous, right? Then you get the actionable workbooks. Now, these are not the same as the backwards planning workbook and the add-on. This is specific to the event and will help you walk through, getting your resume started and getting some details out, and of course your career blueprint, so that we can create the kind of company that really, really resonates with you. Finally, you'll get a ton of support and feedback in our private LinkedIn group. Now, you will have a partner. We mentioned that earlier, that you will be paired up with one of your fellow classmates and that attend the live event. And so that'll be a great place for you all the graduates, to have a conversation and discuss and move forward together. Okay, now this will also walk you through what you'll learn in each of the 7 modules. Now, there are a couple modules in each except for internal. Internal work encompasses its own system. So that's what we discussed at the very beginning, getting that internal stuff down packed, y'all. Then we have the foundation. This is my wheelhouse, where we discover your voice, where we backwards plan, where we get the foundation down before we move into the strategy. Now, this encompasses a bit of both myself and Chloe Love. So we fall in line, we get to the culture, we get to the crux of the kind of business you want to be a part of, and then I walk you through scouting that and setting up a way where you don't have to imagine these companies. We're going to find them, right? And then, of course, the operational side, we're going to do your documents, and we're going to do your LinkedIn haul to start getting you more views, and more views mean that you get found. Not that you're constantly searching, that you get found and that opportunities pour into you, as opposed to you hunting for jobs and hunting for opportunities. That's just not realistic in today's market, right? So we discussed your choices before, but it's the same thing here. You could keep taking chances with your future and trying to figure all this stuff out and do it on your own, and it even takes some of the most hardworking and intelligent people years to do, seriously. Or you can make an intentional decision, steal all of the strategies, get massive results in weeks, join us. You are ready for this. You deserve this. And just some more testimonials through the page, and of course a little bit about me, which I went through. And then it kind of lets you know who it's for, who it's not for, and of course some questions. So we are so thankful that you came and that you joined us, and we hope that you're not just going to take this strategy, although I want you to use it. I want you to backwards plan ASAP. I also want you to have everything in your arsenal, and so that you can take back your power, you can take ownership of where you are and where you're going and get there, actually get there, and turn 2017 into a year of ridiculous achievement for yourself. And I can't wait to help you get there. So there weren't really many questions that we got from the Q&A session on the webinar. I think that's because a lot of you came from the Tuesday call that we held with NAPW and Miss Natalie Fikes. So those of you that do have questions, anything that comes up for you, we're going to actually go ahead and answer some basic questions that we've gone over before with people that are interested on Facebook Live, and we'll do a follow-up to tell everyone how fabulous having you on here was and how much I love every second of interacting with you. So that's where we'll be next in the next 10 minutes or so, maybe not even that. So head yourself over there and join us. Your workbooks will be coming with your replay of this webinar, and we thank you, and we're so excited to serve you, and I can't wait to meet you all in person at the event. And, well, not all of you, obviously. 10 tickets, 10. So make some intentional movements, yeah? Let's go ahead and achieve on purpose. I can't wait to talk to you guys soon. See ya.